I'm going to find another. We ain't got a barrel of money.
Okay. YouTube monitor is running. Facebook monitor is running.
And I'm just resharing links on Twitter.
Hey Andre, hey David. We might need assistance
Right.
to be able to show everything. It's too strong. Okay, try to clean the light a bit. Yeah, it's a little bit better.
Links shadow.
Still kind of burnt.
You want to change the overall tone?
I mean, look at the broadcast compared to your monitor.
But I was also a little closer. But yeah, it's we're a little
Solarized.
fuzzy.
Yeah, that's the best I guess we can do.
This is called one single cheapo Lazada ring light.
We should map out the two for sometime.
I have committed to waiting for the show to pay for a light. So it's gonna be a while, guys, before something like that happens.
Well, I guess we might as well get started. Considering the topic is fireworks season and we are behind as far as days and when to talk about fireworks.
Why? It's not yet Chinese New Year.
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted, not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And today's episode is all about Hanabi.
You didn't say if it's not your first time.
Yeah, I didn't. Can't we shake it up sometimes?
Okay.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. Today's episode is the 120th episode, and we are talking about a card game.
Originally, it's a card game.
But since we own this version of the game, it's not a card game for us.
It's a style game.
The game is Hanabi.
And it is the 2013 Spiel des Jahres winner, which just says it's like really family friendly.
Hey Karen, I see Karen just joined us.
And Kenny.
So Hanabi is a 2 to 5 player game that was released back in 2010.
It still surprises me that this is yet another Anton Bauza game. Mm-hmm. He really has a thing for East Asian themed games.
And the name itself, Hanabi, is fireworks. Because
But in what language?
Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
And in this cooperative game, players take turns to try to launch the fireworks in the correct order.
And we decided to talk about this because, you know, it's the new year and this is the only game we have that is closely related to fireworks. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's what we got, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, what makes this game interesting, if you consider the original game and not this edition, is that it is played with a hand of cards. The deck of cards consists of 5 different colors, and each color has a number of cards of a certain number. because each color has a 1 to 5 numbered card.
Yeah.
But there are multiples of certain cards, but only 1, 5 for
Hey,
each
Amos,
color.
thanks for joining. But yeah, so there are more ones, but there's like only 1 5 per
Mhm.
color deck.
And what makes the game most interesting is it is played with the players never looking at their own hand.
Yes. So the thing about Hanabi is that it is truly a cooperative game where everyone else can see your cards because you will hold your hand of cards facing the other players, but you cannot see them for yourself.
I'm looking for cards to use as demo.
In this tile version of Hanabi, which is they use mahjong style tiles, then you would lay them on the board and make them face away from you. Still the same principle where you never get to see your own tiles.
So to quickly illustrate, oh, that works. If these were my 5 tiles or 5 cards, I would be placing them in this manner. I, as the player, would not be able to see my own. Whereas the rest of the other players, like you guys, can see that I have 2 yellow, 2 white, 2 blue, 2 red,
This is a difficult spread.
and 4 green. Other players will have their own spreads, and that allows the different players to see what everyone else except themselves have. And every turn,
We have 10 people watching.
oh wow!
Yay! Are y'all excited about fireworks? Hooray! That still surprises me when that happens. Okay. Oh, no, I just...
Okay, there. So every turn, a player must decide whether they shall give information or whether they shall play one of their, I keep saying cards, play one of their tiles.
Or discard.
Yes. And the reasons for having such a choice is if you choose to play, you must play something which is the lowest in what has currently been played of that color. So if no one has played a 1, then you are not allowed to play a 2 yet. If you, for example, end up playing the 4 green and the lowest green so far that's out is 1, then that's a wrong play.
Ugh, bad form. Big mistake.
The group is only allowed to have a certain number of mistakes. And if you make too many mistakes, then the game ends and you just count your score based on how many tiles that were played correctly. If you choose to give information, however, there are different rules. Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, so
So let's
you
say-
can only give one of 2 things. You can name the number or you can name the color of the tiles the player has.
So for me, for example,
The only caveat, for color in this case, it's easy. Where it's like, I can go yellow. And hooray, it's a yellow tile. But in case of number, or actually also in case of color, you must give all of the tiles that match that condition. So if I wanted to say 2, I would have to tell Toby 2, 2, 2, 2, which is not very useful if you were trying to figure out what to play.
but as a group, this then tells me that if I were to play anything, these most likely have to be played before this. And that might be the safe time to consider playing these the moment I see ones that have been played.
Yeah, so it's very limited information, and the fact that you're all trying to figure out who will play their tiles first. Admittedly, what ends up becoming the default is because you can't give any other signals, but there's nothing explicit in the rules about not giving differences in intonation, and so it's still a terrible spread. But let's say if I were going to give clues and I wanted to be, hopefully, to play the white one first, then I might go white, white.
And
Still legal.
and that's just enough for me to know I should play this and not this.
But then it might also confuse him because sometimes when you say white, then he might panic and like, oh, then I shouldn't play that at all.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it really depends on how you end up conveying your information to one another.
Players are allowed to try to maintain memory in terms of what information they've been given.
Yes.
So given the white information, for example, I might decide, okay, that I played this first before this as a little device for me to remember this goes first. But that's fine. The only rule is you can't look at it. And this can lead to, wait, what did I want to say? Yata una. And that's where the game gets really fun.
Now, we have to note that there are limitations on giving information. Because, like, if not, everybody will be giving information and the game will be super easy. You are given a certain number of clock tiles, right? And these oh, yeah, this deluxe set's so extra. Okay.
Yes.
You're given a certain number of clock tiles, and every time you give information, you discard one of the clock tokens. If there are no more clock tokens in the stack, no one can give information as their action on the turn. Therefore, a problem. The only other way to generate clock tokens is by discarding cards/tiles entirely, which is a risk in itself because you might be getting rid of tiles that we need in order to play. So there's a lot of balancing that needs to happen where you're all trying to coordinate to make sure that the coming players have moves in mind. Whether it is playing a tile or they already know they can discard a tile, they kind of have to have a plan. And if you, and this is already strategy, I'll admit, as a group, you reach a point where someone doesn't know what he's going to do on his turn, that's probably going to lead to a mistake.
As far as mistakes are concerned, as you can see, there are the timer tiles. As you make mistakes, the fuse gets shorter and shorter until boom, the game ends and you score. So,
hi, Urim.
As you can see, this game really forces you to work as a team. It forces you to work as a team, but interestingly, it also reminds you that part of the rules is to not communicate, which just tells you how important communication is in any teamwork type of effort.
Yeah, this is one of those classic, like, yes, this could be a team building activity because really, trying to get it together, and no matter how many times you play this, as long as you play with different people, people will interpret your signals differently, and it just leads to ridiculous moments of everybody thinks they gotta move, and then they play something really stupid, and like, no, we've just closed off the firework.
Now, for a 2 to 3 player game, you then start with 5 tiles in front of you. The remainder of the tiles are all shuffled and kept face down. So until you move these, you are not able to draw more. So in this case, if I were here, Rocky would want me to play the ones, for example. So in his turn, he might go
1-1.
However, if in turn order I went first, then I might be staring at my tiles wondering. And I go, okay, I think I'm going to play.
And everybody's just going to hold their breath because they can't communicate.
And by the rules, even as I reach for something, Rocky can't like, no.
Cannot signal at all.
So I might, okay, I'll play this. Because if you're wrong, you lose the fuse anyway. The alternative, however, is to just go, okay, I'll throw away a tile and generate 9.
It's also stressing everyone out.
Which can help because at least that will help the other player later on. But if you end up throwing something like, I'll throw away this, then now I have kept us from ever completing the yellow firework.
Because there's only one of the 5.
For a group that has 4 to 5 players, however, you only play with 4 tiles. And at the end of every round, whether you throw away a tile, you play a tile, if you have less than you're starting, that's when you draw a new one without looking at it and add it to your set. And again, placement is up to you, but that's when, if you have been having a system, you might mess yourself up again because you might have gone, okay, so this is 1 and these are yellow. Wait there, see, now I'm confused. Yeah.
And
these are yellow,
and
these are 1. And I'm like, okay, I'll fix that. And then on the next turn, okay, where did I put the ones? I think the ones are here. And see, the system is gone. So that happens so often in this game.
Yeah, so, whether you play with the cards or the tiles, it really helps to kind of like figure out how you want to organize your set to make sure that it makes sense. There's an awkwardness I mean, we played both the card version and the tile version. There's a slight awkwardness with the tile version, only because it's weird that you don't really hold your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always, I mean, it's a anxiety sort of tension dealing with behavior where you want to hold something and feel like you're really playing the game. When you have the tiles spread out, then the most you can do is kind of like tap them, but you can't look at them, which so you can't really like keep touching them because then it creates weird behaviors for yourself.
Given the material is pretty much
They are mahjong tiles.
mahjong tile material, it has a beautiful feeling of having them all spread out, and you mix it on the table, and then as you line them up and you clack them together like you were playing mahjong, it has that nice tactile feel.
And then
to
you
it.
don't get to do it for most of the game. So it's a question. It's definitely a question.
With the sets, are the I don't have them. They're mixed in somewhere. There is an optional set of tiles that you can use to play with. It's here, the illustrations. Where is it? No, they didn't show the. There, see? I have to find it.
Okay, good luck. Now, spoiler alert. In preparing for this episode, in the 10 minutes before the show, okay, this is really not a smart method, but okay. We also discovered that there is a second deluxe edition. I don't know why they wanted a second one, but there is a second one. It adds even more unique tiles for different gameplay. We haven't gotten that far. It's a struggle to play the base game, I gotta be totally honest. But we did get the deluxe set because it's super extra.
Wow, I can't pray it out. Yeah, we'll have to empty the box.
Move the tiles out.
See that sound? That sound is such a lovely sound.
Do you have enough tiles to play actual mahjong? No, because they only say 1 to 5. Just letting you know.
Okay, so there. So it comes with the extra set. Notice they have all the colors. You have the wild color, which when added to the game, and as you can see, ours is still sealed, so we haven't added it yet, can be played to work with any of the colors.
That could be helpful, but you still have to play them in sequence.
Yeah. I can smell the painted mahjong.
That is the one minor observation about this deluxe set, is that it stinks. I don't know. There's something about the finishing for the material that
the varnish.
It was a little fishy. It didn't condense in the box well. It's a good box. Don't get me wrong. Very thick cardboard. It has magnetic snaps on the lid so that it keeps things secure. But just it stinks when you first open it.
It has a very useless instruction how to start tiles in the bottom.
I love. It's just the backs of the tiles. They literally printed this. I don't know why.
I guess they wanted you to know it should be lengthwise and not crosswise.
I guess.
But yeah, look at that. And then magnet.
Signal magnet clasp. So the deluxe edition for Hanabi is pretty nice, I will admit. And we got it precisely because it's like we figured to get this instead of just getting standard Hanabi after we had played someone else's copy.
The card game, as fun as it is, does exhaust the hand as you play, as you hold the cards.
Yes, you will be holding your cards up for the entire game.
And your hands start getting cramped holding it. So the tile version is a nice translation of the same game because it allows you to just lay them out in front of you. There is, as Rocky mentioned, that tactile loss, however, of not really holding the things the whole time. But I think it's a loss that I'm willing to have in exchange for being able to rest my hand during the game.
And then, what's this? Also, the fact that they upgraded the firework and clock tokens to small wooden pieces as well is a very welcome upgrade, because the base game, the original game, uses standard kind of punch out cardboard, which is okay. It's not terrible. It's not gonna stop you from playing the game. But yeah, this is a fun upgrade. Now, how does scoring go? Scoring depends on the highest number you've achieved per color.
Mhm.
Um, and then a bonus if you got all the way to the end.
Yes.
So it's important to make those sets. Um, and it's really just adding the largest value of each tile that you reached. So the highest score that you could get as a group is theoretically 25 if you had all five colors. Very unlikely. Um, in our experience, when you play Hanabi, you will eventually have to kill a color,
Mhm.
or someone will kill a color, whether they mean to or not. Even just getting rid of the threes and fours, which, if I'm not mistaken, are quantities of two per color. Very easy to kill a color that way.
Mhm.
We've seen firework sets get very close to the edge and then never.
The game has two expansions. The first being the Hanabi Master Artisan expansion. It adds six bonus tokens to the Hanabi card game, which, when shuffled, are kept close to the clue tokens. Those tokens with a timer.
Mm.
Instead of flipping a clue token when playing correctly the fifth card of a color, flip a bonus token instead and carry out the special action. The action will then be carried out immediately, which allow the fireworks master, or the oldest player in the group, to do things such as flip two tokens, choose a card from the discards and shuffle it back,
Ooh.
choose another player and tell that player the color and value of the hand, or flip up to two unused fuse tokens back. There is the Black Powder expansion, which is supposed to have come out last year.
Wow, they're still adding to this game.
It adds a seventh suit, and
Because they count the multicolor as one suit.
the Black Powder cards are never part of the color clues. They must be played from 5 to 1, and there are 3 5s and only 1 1.
Oh, it's the reverse.
Yes,
That's gonna mess you up, Bowser. You cruel
there.
thing.
So we have um,
So I think Deluxe 2
probably includes
includes
these.
the expansions, if I'm not mistaken. At least it definitely includes that other one, the first one you mentioned.
The Master Artisan.
Yeah, I saw the tiles in Deluxe 2 as the set. I don't know if we're gonna bother getting the upgrade. I mean, getting the additional expansions, only because, like, okay, in all honesty, we rarely play this. It's a bit of a learning curve, and it requires a fair amount of patience to play through.
Mhm.
And it's a good and a bad thing. It's a good and a bad thing in that sense. It can be very challenging,
Mhm.
but also very rewarding when you at least finish one of the darn colors. Just finishing one, I'm super happy. Can you start multiples of the same color? If you have finished one to completion, I think you can, right? You can start it again.
Another of us of the
Same
same
color?
color? No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But then again, that might be one of the variants. But I don't think so. I know you're only allowed one of each.
One of
color.
each. Because you want to make an impressive fireworks show. How long is gameplay? It's quite short, actually. It's quite short. I think it's gonna be under an hour, definitely. Sometimes 30 minutes if you're in sync. The only thing that's really gonna delay you is everybody going, I don't know what to do.
Mhm. So yeah,
No? Checking.
there's no mention of starting a new.
Okay, that's fine. Because admittedly, if you start at the same color again, you're never gonna get to the end because there's only 1 5. So, Hanabi though makes for a fun little icebreaker game, or sort of a in between game, because again it's pretty quick to teach, and then it definitely gets everybody involved because everybody tries to figure out their own system for communicating stuff. Um, our fallback method is always intonation and volume, which is just two, which for in all experience, not everybody gets. Not everybody gets what you mean.
Officially, you're also only allowed to communicate when it's your turn to communicate having chosen the action to communicate.
Yes.
So when it's not your turn,
No
officially,
reactions, no
no reactions, no statements, and worse is when you suddenly realize, ay, ano nga ba gagawin ko? You're not supposed to help.
Yeah, everybody's just like,
Which again makes it a very ironic experience because it's a cooperative game, but you are meant to accomplish it by not communicating.
yeah, and I don't know if you want to add logic to that. It's because it's fireworks. You can't hear each other. I don't know. You have to go really close to coordinate. Um, but yeah. So on a side note, I feel like we could totally do a topic about Antoine Bauza's obsession with East Asia because this is the guy who did Takinoko, Tokaido, and Hanabi. Really, there is a pattern. It's the pattern. Karen's like, it's a quiet game then. Not really. I mean, as much as the rules tell you that you shouldn't react and shouldn't give information, it's people will groan at the very least upon play or upon discard.
And there will be screams when the play is correct or wrong.
That's
Because
true.
they're like, I'll play a tile. Ah, then we landed and it's correct. Yay! So yeah, it's a
And
noisy game.
and as much as you try to be very careful, like you can really try to be careful in mapping it out. Um, you will hit at least once, probably more often than not within the game. Um, someone having no clue as to what they're gonna do, there being no more clue tokens, and he's going to blind discard
Mhm.
a token.
Or you've already told the person 2 and 4, and then on their turn, ano numbers ko ulit? And everyone's yeah.
And sometimes it's like it feels like a waste of turn when people like give multiple clues to the same person. And we've had that. We're all trying to guide one player, hoping that that player makes the move because he or she is holding all the ones or something.
Mhm.
And then like they have to move, and then they discard, and then it's so painful.
So some tips to consider. Um, realize that in as much as information is shared with you, so for example, I might be told that I have a 2 and a 4. Seeing his has 1s and 3s, I might be tempted to give the 3s as an information because there's 2 of them. But it might be more important to share the 1s first because those can be played and allow more players to play.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep looking forward and keep thinking about how. I mean, it's a weird explanation, but it does for us. It always boils down to making sure that the people ahead of you have a move,
Mhm.
um, or at least every other person has to have a move so that the tiles keep moving. Because if you hit roadblocks where someone doesn't know what to do, then it just slows everything down.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you're hoping that someone will give you a move so that you know what to do.
Second, pay attention to your teammates because even if they're not communicating actual information, they might still be giving off information without intending to. For
Mm.
example, if this were my tiles and this were Rocky's tiles, and in the last turn, someone just played a 1 green. If you notice them all suddenly look your way,
It might be a clue.
then you might realize, oh, maybe it's something for me. And if the next person who gives a clue might go 2, then sorry, 2, then you kind of realize, oh, I think that's the 2 they want me to play. So consider little moments like that because they're not intentionally cheating, but sometimes human nature just
Yeah.
gets the best of you.
Plus, this is a game where card counting is very important.
Mhm.
You will know the number of each card so that, and you see the spread of all the other players. So you should have a guesstimate as to what is still in play,
Mhm.
especially when you play the tile version, because you don't stack. Then you can really clearly see how many cards are out, which cards are discarded.
Mhm.
Versus when you play with the card version, you'll create a discard pile, which technically you can go through, but it's a pain. So use that information wisely.
Third, pay attention to the tiles you can see. For example, if I knew Rocky had these, therefore I knew he had a 1. But for some reason, the player who's giving information chose to tell me instead that this is a 2. Then maybe, even if I could see everyone else's, that 2 is important right now. Because I could see what they have, but that's not what's being called out for some reason. So pay attention as well to what you can see and realize, why aren't they choosing to tell those first? And that will help you understand what your tiles are.
Yeah, and then me, it's like sometimes I like gambling on the tiles you point to are the ones you're calling attention to. I mean, like, if you are going to risk a player playing something or discarding something, be very careful with your choices. So me, I don't like pointing at tiles I don't want them to think about. I want to only point at tiles that I'm implying are going to be important. So like in that earlier spread where my tiles had a 1 that was blue, I might even choose to say blue instead of 1.
Yes.
Only because it'll stress that, hey, do you see a blue out there? No, but I'm telling you, this is a blue. And sometimes they get it.
So in a case like this,
oh my God,
they might simply go 1,
which means play anything, you freak.
But then, let's say I played this.
Then we're in trouble.
Now you'll realize these 2 are best kept, whereas these 2 are best discarded
for time.
But if you don't tell me and I go, I play, then we now made an error. So that's how tricky the game can get.
Yeah, and then those are cases when you have everybody giving information to the one player. And like, we keep going back to him because he has the most dangerous hand. As early as like a 3 to 4 player game, I swear, after your first round, you're scrambling for time tokens because
everyone just gave information.
Everyone just gives information maybe in the first round, and then suddenly you barely have any left. And then once everyone makes those moves, that's it. That's just 2 rounds that you've accounted for. You've probably started off maybe 3 to 4 colors, and then nothing else can happen.
And
so you really have to keep thinking forward.
So I guess that's the last advice we could offer, which is don't focus on your turn alone. Pay attention to everyone else's turns so you can see actually who will end up having a turn where they don't know what to do.
Or a turn where we're going to run out of clue tokens.
Because you want to make sure everyone knows what they'll do on their turn, or at least knows what they can throw away. That was very perfectly timed. Duck fireworks! I guess that's it. Are there any other comments?
Not really, although Amos was interested if we do a creator-focused episode for Antoine Bauza. Although we've talked about a number of his games already. So it may be a recap, but then we'll have to do more research.
Yeah, I do feel that those type of episodes will require research only because we'll be talking about a person, and that might become offensive to some extent if we approach it wrong.
Yes, and we don't want to do that because we're all about celebration.
Yeah, so that was 30 minutes talking about tiles that used to be cards and are pretending to be fireworks. But that was Hanabi, and we had a lot of fun, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
If you have questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill out the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride ideas, including like, should we call this a card game, a tile game, or a tile game?
And is it better than a box with 2 sharks?
Feel free to follow us on Twitter, all Toby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. What do you think about Hanabi? Would you like to play? Do you think you are going to be comfortable not knowing what your own hand of cards/tiles is?
And if you do choose to get the deluxe edition, it is heavy. Be prepared to pay for shipping.
And look out for deluxe too. You might as well go for gold. If you're going to get a deluxe one, get deluxe 2 so it has the expansion.
So we have Fiskus, and now we have Duckworks.
Oh my god. Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Happy 2021, everyone.
That did not sound like fireworks.
I don't know what that was supposed to be.